La zone euro maintenant est le noyau dur de l'Europe. Nous voulons rester dans la zone euro, mais on veut aussi avoir une possibilité d'appliquer notre politique. Il n'y a pas seulement une politique économique possible. S'il y a seulement une orthodoxie économique, pourquoi avoir des élections? On doit respecter les règles du jeu, ça c'est sûr, mais dans les règles générales de l'Union européenne, il faut aussi avoir la possibilité d'appliquer des variations de politique économique. Nous voulons une politique plus sociale. Et le peuple grec a voté pour ça. Il doit être respecté, ça.
Ça, c'est ce bavardage qui consiste à me dire que je regarde parfois mon téléphone. Je suis en texting, comme on dit en franglais, avec le Premier ministre grec. Je ne sais pas si vous avez l'occasion de faire de même, mais je dois faire ça aujourd'hui. Je fais mon travail et cesser ce bavardage stupide qui n'a aucune raison d'être. En plus, donner de la Commission et de l'Europe l'idée que nous serions là dans nos salons dorés, que nous ne regardions pas de près les conditions de vie de nos citoyens, relève de l'absurdité, du populisme élémentaire, de la démagogie malsaine. Moi, je m'entretiens chaque semaine avec des citoyens grecs. Je ne parle pas seulement au gouvernement grec et aux partis politiques grecs, je parle à des citoyens grecs.
Well, let's cross live now to Greece's Deputy Interior Minister, George Katregoulos, for more on the government's next step. Mr. Katregoulos, thanks very much for joining us on RT International tonight. I know you're probably very busy right now in Athens. First, the European creditors who are waiting for Greece's next move or your next proposals, what have you got to bring to the table?
Well, we want, as always, a fair compromise. That is, we are ready to propose new measures and concessions, provided that our partners are also ready to include to the agreement some kind of debt relief. Because if we don't have a reduction of the debt, then we're going to have another version of the business as usual, pretend et extend. Pretend that we are resolving the problem and in the reality perpetuating it. So now that even the IMF has said that our debt is not sustainable, what we are waiting from our partners is, from their part, to take some concessions and to agree to a final viable solution.
Although this sounds the same place that we were on Friday, though, is this going to extend the deadlock, really? Do you think that the creditors' hands can be forced in light of this referendum?
We don't want to force the hands of anybody, but it is clear that now they are not dealing just with a government, they are dealing with a sovereign people. And when a people is speaking, everybody must listen. And I must also repeat that what has happened in Greece, it is not just something that concerns my country only. In Greece, we had a confrontation of two different visions of Europe. A neoliberal Europe without rights and with austerity, and another one closer to the traditional European social model with social rights, with protection of labor law.
Well, the Greek voters on Sunday made their feelings perfectly clear with the results that we've seen in the past few hours or so. Yet, if you'd seen most news up until Sunday, they were saying it was going to be the Yes campaign that won out. Why do you think the predictions got it so wrong?
We have seen a campaign of fear for those that were supporting the Yes. And that was because this campaign was targeting the existence of our government. We are the only government of the left in Europe. So there are political circles in Europe that they are afraid that we may become a bad example, a political contagion for other countries that they are going to have elections this year, in Spain, in Portugal, in Ireland. So they wanted to get rid of us. And of course they failed. The Greek people have understood that it is not anymore just about austerity, it was also about democracy.
Well, there's mixed messages from elsewhere in Europe about what the next 48 hours is going to hold for Greece. Credit Suisse, the bank, puts the probability of the Grexit, as it's known, at 75%. Do you have a plan B if that becomes the case?
The first step is that we want the banks to open. And that is not up to us, it's up to the European Central Bank, who has exactly the institutional mandate to ensure the liquidity and the stability of the banking systems in Europe. And our banks did not have the problems of Cyprus or Ireland, where the banks were insolvent. Our banks had just a liquidity problem. So what we are expecting from the European Central Bank is a decision to increase the liquidity of our system and to bring it back to normality. And we don't have a plan B. We want to remain in Europe, but not in the Europe of austerity, a social Europe.
Why do you think the creditors would agree to anything now, though? Because if we point to referendum vote saying that the Greeks don't want cuts, that was the same in January when Syriza was voted into power on the basis of the Greeks don't want any more cuts. So what do you think is going to change?
We have been very close to an agreement. Just last Monday, our lenders have said that our proposals have been a good basis of discussion. They have changed their mind exactly because some of them did not want to forge a deal, but wanted just to overthrow the only government of left in Europe. Now that it is out of the table, that the Greek people have spoken, I hope that reason will prevail, the democratic traditions of Europe will prevail. They will be back to the table of negotiations and we can reach a fair compromise, acceptable by both sides.
Indeed. Well, we'll let you get back to the business of hand. George Katrakoulis, the Deputy Interior Minister.
Well, within the past hour, the Greek Prime Minister addressed the European Parliament. Time is ticking, with the EU having told Athens it has until Sunday to seal a bailout deal. Despite the tension, Alexis Tsipras was greeted like a star. The Greek Prime Minister delivered an impassioned speech about how his country was worn out by years of austerity. He said he doesn't blame other countries for Greece's troubles, rather it's the fault of previous Greek governments, specifically their tax evasion and corruption. He went on to stress that the resolution of the Greek crisis is crucial for the rest of Europe.
What we now know as the Greek crisis is only a manifestation of the overall inability of the Eurozone to find a lasting solution to the debt crisis. This is not exclusively a Greek problem. This is a European problem. And European problems require European solutions.
Well, despite the ante having been up, the Greek Prime Minister looked optimistic at Tuesday's emergency summit as well. He was smiling when he arrived and when he sat down at the negotiating table, and also when he met with the German Chancellor and the French President, though the two did not appear to share his high spirits. The EU leaders ratcheted up the pressure, saying there are just a few days left to resolve the crisis.
Dass es nur noch wenige Tage Zeit gibt, zu einer Entscheidung zu kommen, wie es weitergeht.
Until now, I have avoided talking about deadlines. But tonight I have to say it loud and clear that the final deadline ends this week.
The Commission is prepared for everything. We have a Grexit scenario prepared in detail.
Well, Athens says it's already submitted new proposals seeking to restructure the debt, though these were apparently rejected by the lenders. The EU now wants fresh suggestions in by Thursday at the latest. We spoke to an economist who explained why the Eurozone is unwilling to budge on austerity.
The Eurozone has subscribed to an ideology, to an austerity dogma, and it doesn't want to drop that, even though there's no economic basis, no economic theory behind this dogma. So Syriza is representing the people, whereas the Eurozone really wants them out. What they want is not have an alternative to austerity, because if there was one, this would endanger the Spanish government, for example. But in fact, there's one government that does benefit from a prolonged crisis, right? And this is Germany. Because at the moment, German bonds, so German government bonds, are trading at a very high price. So that's very good for the German government because they can raise money easily. And they're also benefiting because the euro is weak due to all of that. And they're an exporting nation, right? So a weak euro is very good for them.
Well, somewhat ironically, with the possibility of a Grexit looming over the Eurozone, the famous Euro sign sculpture in Frankfurt is undergoing maintenance. One of the most photographed statues in the city is getting its first makeover in 13 years. Well, as that's happening, in Greece, cash machines are being drained of euros, with banks remaining closed. That's prompted some to ask whether Athens could print its own money. RT's Ilya Petrenko went to the mint of the Greek central bank, where he was surprised to find out really how ready the security guard was to speak frankly to him.
The national currency. But at this point, I cannot say what would happen if we're pushed to the wall, because in times of great danger for the economy and their society, one has to explore all possibilities and all alternatives, meaning those who feel powerful enough to bully us, they have to feel and know the consequences.
So what kind of alternatives and options does Greece have? Technically, the Greek central bank has a print in a suburb of Athens, so it can start printing its own euro if it gets completely cash-strapped. So we decided to check the location where Greece prints the euro.
This is the building where they print the money, right?
Yes.
The machines for the printing work this week.
That's right. The last 3 days, no. The last three days, no. I speak for me, and not for the Bank of Greece. Never. I speak for me, okay? Because I want to up, okay? I speak the truth. Because it's very difficult. The last 5 years, it's very difficult in my country to speak the truth. Because democracy, I'm sorry for this, it's closed in my country. For me, I'm sorry, for me.
C'est-à-dire que la responsabilité, c'est à la Grèce de faire des propositions. La solidarité, c'est à l'Europe de les mettre dans une perspective de moyen terme, avec bien sûr une aide immédiate qui doit être fournie. Mais faut-il encore qu'il y ait cette perspective de moyen terme? On ne va pas parler de la Grèce tous les 3 mois. Et enfin, il faut de la rapidité. C'est-à-dire que c'est dans la semaine que les décisions doivent être prises. Voilà l'esprit que j'ai pour ce Conseil. Responsabilité, parce que c'est un enjeu européen majeur et que chacun doit faire son travail. Solidarité, parce que nous devons surmonter une fois pour toutes ces difficultés, si elles sont surmontables. Et puis enfin rapidité, parce que nous devons faire vite.